All right. Early morning, walking, get my coffee on my day off. Yeah. So, one of the things that has come up this week that I used to put on Facebook as the BLM thing was ramping up, and I kept pointing out, like, okay, when this first happened with BLM and Ferguson, the problem that you ended up having is this guy D. Ray McKesson was all over Twitter making the thing happen. There were literally photos with like D. Ray McKesson in a photo with Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey was fundamentally, in full support of BLM, and D. Ray McKesson eventually was blamed by many people who were associated with BLM, in BLM, doing the work, whatever that is. In Ferguson, they were like, yeah, D. Ray McKesson, like, vanished with all the money, or all the money just vanished. So somebody like me, I was saying from the beginning, well, this always stunk of a bunch of, grifters. That's where grifter, that's like the whole, like, kind of real origin of, that was like kind of this real origin of it. That it was actually these people that were part of the BLM thing, grifting. And race grifting. There was also the accusation on the right of people like the National Policy Institute, Richard Spencer's National Policy Institute, being a race grifting. Oh, good going. You caught that just in time. Lady just caught her bus. She just like took off like a shot. I was like, what the fuck? Relax, lady. I know I didn't comb my hair, but holy shit. Anyway, and so that's racist. Anyway, so one of the things I just was thinking about this morning, and like there was something I had seen about like how Hassan and Destiny were blown the fuck out of the water, and how they always are. How the further left you go, the more reality keeps blowing you the fuck out. And that they've got to come up with these like kooky ass ways of contorting, like, oh well, because of society, and society makes people do things, and it's like it's got a magic white power that comes with the penis, and so just always these kooky ass fucking, like, really. So okay, I was there. I think it's because I use YouTube, but I'm older, but I don't look hella old, and the way I speak and such is casual enough that it has this like something deceptive about like what times I got to see. I got to see the 90s. I got to see when like every high schooler was into Public Enemy to a great extent. Even if they really didn't understand the politics, they didn't understand the lyrics. They liked that it was loud and raucous, and they were saying things that you probably weren't supposed to say. Probably your mom wouldn't approve of this. The Beastie Boys were like these guys with rock and rapping, and I mean, like, this was creative. There was a creative explosion, and this is what it was. So it's like, I think 2 times this week I've seen people with these whack ass Tupac shirts. People really don't get it. Like, old school, Tupac was definitively new school. That's why the leaders of the new school came out at the same time as Tupac. They're definitively new school artists. KRS-One something like a social renegade, but he doesn't kill, he rhymes to get paid. Total renegade, sorry. He's another one that it was like, he goes, we are new school artists. This is 1988. So the old school was way old. Way old. That's like that's before Stetsasonic. I mean, like, most people have no idea what Stetsasonic was. So, Juice Crew and Stetsasonic, so people, like, you don't see Tribe Called Quest shirts. You don't see The Roots shirts. You don't see De La Soul shirts. No, you don't see that. And it's really because the 90s, the history is being rewritten all the time. And it's being and this is something that a lot of black people, who they get angry because they be taking our culture. No, a portion of black people, and then the white liberals rewrite your history. So De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest aren't as important as Tupac Shakur, when that's totally no, obviously Tupac Shakur was a massive crossover act. What the fuck was that? Yeah, it was Tupac. That was a weird ass sound. I have no idea what that was. But Tupac Shakur was a crossover act. I mean, there's just no way around. I mean, you look at the demographic because I'm sure there's white people, I'm sure. Oh, this is some kind of mechanism. Okay. Oh, this bird is pecking at a steel pole. What a kooky bird. And that's hella funny. Okay. I don't think you're gonna get through that tree. So I was sitting there and I'm like, yeah, these people are remembering history all wrong. They're not remembering, like, how there's Wu-Tang Clan, Old Dirty Bastard, was it, ooh baby, I like it raw, shimmy shimmy ya. That song, why are they dressed the way they are? They're dressed in the clothes, in elaborate disco outfits, and outfits from these old kind of outrageous pimp movies and stuff, from blaxploitation movies. I like actually how Al Prophet pointed out the shift from pimping to drugs in the black underworld of the Steel Belt in East Coast cities, and how really Superfly does tell a real story, in a way, of when people started selling dope instead of pimping as their hustle, because it just simply was more cost effective. So then, and then when you're there and you're not gangster, you just have a lot of friends that you think society misunderstands, or they just make wild-eyed decisions now and then, or you enjoy getting in trouble. You enjoy doing things you're not supposed to do. This is one of the most important ones that I don't understand, people don't get. That's why when I hear people like Piker and all these people talk about crime and this and that, I'm like, no, it's fun. It's fucking fun. Like, you're not supposed to do it. You're kind of having fun. And if it makes you money and you're hanging with your friends, making money doing something you're not supposed to do, it kind of gives you this air of indestructibility when you get away with it. It's And you're young. You don't understand otherwise. In a way, like you can't understand the punishment because you haven't received it. You might have even met people who got locked up for this, that, or the other, but you can't understand it. This isn't something that's like to be lamented. They couldn't understand their actions. No. You know you're not supposed to sell D. You're doing it anyway. And one of the things a lot of people don't get about criminal people don't believe in rules. They really do think rules are more of a suggestion. They really think like, well, is anyone going to stop me? They really think that. I mean, this is really something that actually, to some degree, when you encounter the far left in the debate world, somebody like me, like a lot of people talk about how there's this kind of glassy-eyed or dead-eyed expression in a lot of leftists. That is something you see in doped up people and in criminals who think that the rules are a suggestion. Like when they're willing to finally resort to crime and violence, they have a look like that. That's So the dead eyes is really the look very much of a criminal mind that understands everybody else is following these rules, and might even understand. They might even be able to walk through why the rules of society are good for a lot of people, and with the complete understanding of the benefit they receive from breaking them. Every single person I've encountered who's an apologist for rioters, they all walk through the same process, the same logical, moral process. That eventually rules become a suggestion, and there's a bunch of people who are under the boot of the rule makers, and they really believe like black people are oppressed, that it's not that there's this portion of black America that are the mothers of criminal males who couldn't socialize them properly because of mothers can't do that really. They need fathers to aid in that process, and extended family typically to aid in that process, which it's not really the advocacy for it takes a village. No, it's to point out the reality of it takes a tremendous amount of resources to be poured into one child to get the best possible outcomes. And but those resources are literally people doing things, not just some check from the government. It has to be people doing stuff, and that's usually their kith and kin, because that's the only people who would care and can. Because now we're seeing too many of the educators, the education class, seem to be people who are demented freaks. And it won't ever matter that the liberals think otherwise. Somebody might chafe at something like that. No. The white liberals finna learn. They have now exposed everybody to whatever it is that is all fucked up in their little world. They're like, because when you're around them, you start to see, like, at first it was really, the 90s really was like, you would see people that you were like the rise of the nerd. So you saw these guys who were, like just nerds, but they made it. They got good solid jobs doing nerd things and bought nerd stuff, and and like became like pro nerds, grown up pro nerds, and it was fun, it's like you felt good for them. They came into theirs, like I kept ending up in food service, so I would see these people, and like to the point where I would see people make it and get fucking, date, finally land that girl, get married, and it was funny because there's even guys who it's like, they realize, like, they'd be like, dude, yeah, we're getting married, bro, and it's the look like, us. It's like, really, I don't. I just know that she eats this burrito and you like this burrito, but also will take it as a bowl, and you prefer the salsa on the side. That's really what I know about you, but I also like that I'm included in this, that you see me as a part of your kith, not necessarily your kin. Right on. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, I got to see the Rodney King riots. I got to see, like, the police really, like, do some kind of fascinating shit over the years. I got to see the culture change around stuff. But this idea, like, that the police are just there's no numbers that show this. No, the numbers show that black people are inordinately likely to make arrests and dealing with them with legal infractions contentious and loud, and they are more likely to cause a scene, and they're more likely to get violent, and they're more likely to flee the scene, and more likely to have expired licenses. So now we're changing the law, because now we're saying that the law is inherently racist, that black people actually have to live up to any standards of white liberals. That the white liberal standard, their teenage children can maintain this standard, but not black people. They expect better from their own children, but not from the help. Oh no. The help. They can't do that there. See there, what you did there, it did my black, he my black entertainment, you see there. So, and I'm very entertained by black people, and I don't like my black people being jailed for just not having a driver's license when operating a motor vehicle. So, if I could ask you, sir, in the name of honor, in the name of all that is honorable, sir, and democracy, to not arrest this here Negro. They need their help. See, because the white liberals, what else would they have? They would then have the open interests of white liberal women. That would be it. There's no other interest that they're ever looking out for. Not even really the interests of the Mexican. This is one of the things I love most of all, is nobody gets that one. Like, because I'm there, because I'm in it, because I do it, because I'm really working class. Like, this is one of these fucking things. Like, no. Mexicans need their kids well trained in math. Period. That's what they need. Their kid needs to know math. Otherwise, their kid can't have a job that a real smart person has. And they realize this. They realize at a certain point, they're like, these people can't teach math because math is done differently in South and Central America. Like, when you do it on paper, you do it differently. It's also, even the way you put numbers together in words is different. So this is something that, like, when people aren't working class and they aren't really around foreigners growing up, they don't realize that. They don't see the kid from Argentina doing fucking math differently, and then them explaining why it's easier to do it like that. And they're having a real hard time doing it our way because it takes so much longer. So, and with the Chinese, it's also a similar thing. There's the way that there's an entire way kind of the language works, that it's easier to express certain numerical terms. And then in other things, it's more difficult. Like I think it's like time, numerical time. But no, it's so being there. The left is failing because they're not legit. They're trying to rewrite history that they weren't there to experience. There's too many things about the history that they don't understand that they can't make up. And you see that too often. You saw it too often with like the leftists in YouTube debates trying to invent historical information that they weren't there to see. So somebody like me's in the chat and I'm just kind of like, no, it wasn't like that in the 1990s. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, kiddo, you know? Yeah. And, so now they're having to double back on every possible kind of logical, moral, and ethical stance. They have to treat basically black people kind of in this weird, strange way, like they're kind of this retarded animal that will turn and bite them, and they have to act like because the sting of the whip, you know, and well, so why aren't Chinese people kung fu kicking all the white people for all the colonialism? You know, they were about to bankrupt the English because of the use of solid silver until the Opium War. You know, why aren't the Japanese like karate chopping and judo flipping people for the black ships, you know? Yeah, and I mean, holy crap, people come from, you know, places where we get bananas. Imagine if they decided to take their deep rage that's almost going to explode, and if anybody says anything at the Oscars about them, oh God, you know. They might take the machete in la mano. Oh my gosh. You know, so I'm now at just, it's just the left is sad. I mean, it's just the level of L's of like, just wow, you guys power suck. Like, you guys are power losers. Like, and now it's beautiful to see the way that this is now just becoming this sort of bizarro thing. So this has happened to the Democrats before. Okay, I was there. I was there to see Reagan win. This is one of my earliest memories. Is I remember my parents being pissed about something on TV, and it was that Reagan had won. But it took a while for me to put together, because there's all these reruns of stuff as I was a kid. So I'm seeing these reruns, and every once in a while I'm like, Dad, I don't understand this joke. So, you know, like, why? What is it? Brick in the toilet? I don't understand. What is a brick doing in the toilet, you know? Oh, okay. There was a water shortage, so you had to put a brick in the toilet, in the back part of the toilet, so as to take up volume, so that it would like be a fake amount of volume taken up by this brick, because you didn't have enough water for the back of the toilet. And so so you would get this explained to you, and you're like, why was there a shortage of water? Oh, it was a drought. And so, you know, and after a while, it takes you a long time to put together, oh, California never had enough water for the people who were there. But they kept encouraging people to move there, like the state itself was going out of its way to do that. and then not being honest about then the market price of water, so that we would not use it and fritter it away. And that was the thing. They wouldn't deal with the market price of water, the real market price. And yeah, so the it takes all this time to put together then, like, what you haven't been told by the older folks. The Democrats had gone through this kind of thing before, where they sort of spiral into madness. And it's because of their desire for strong central governance. It's not even this idea of kind of this majority rules. It's this, you can't have majority rules unless you have a very strong central government that can then just say, okay, 51 has said this. We now lay the hammer down. Yeah. And that you have to eliminate points at which you could have objections or anything like that. And so that's what they've literally always has done. It took me a long time to understand that one as well. And they literally have always done that. Every chance they get, they actually will try to obliterate any objections to the centralized command of the state by one party. And so they're just going through a cyclical thing themselves. The Republicans were undone by the Bush family, and a big part of it is because of the individualist nature of the membership, because of its regional I can't believe I'm forgetting the word for it. It's a type of authority that is done by region, not jurisdiction. It's a different concept, different term that it comes from the old days of the church and a bishopry. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I could describe it. The Republican Party has this nature of being very local. So it will represent, and then also it represented very often rural people. So it ended up with these people who just simply don't come across as very sophisticated. And so all these city-dwelling Democrats, I mean, this goes way, way, way back. And I could remember this all my life, that the Republicans were always these people who were either these kind of scheming businessmen or sort of these hokey farmer types, sort of, and do kind of, hokey kind of characters. Oh, losing power. I'm going to get going. All right, later.